Hey, welcome on into another edition of the Mental Game Podcast. Sam Brief here at the home studio in Chicago, and I've got a track superstar for you today. Dylan Beard is someone whose hustle and grind, those are overused terms. I'm talking capital H hustle and capital G grind are unparalleled. His ability to focus and his ability to be honest with himself, a really unique skill, are unparalleled for any 27-year-old I've spoken with. Beard, born and raised in Baltimore, joins me from Baltimore today to talk about a journey that earned him the title of fan favorite among the track and field community. Beard joins us today as one of the top hurdlers in the U.S. and sniffing the title of one of the best in the world. And that's because he just competed at the 2025 World Championships at the Olympic Stadium in Tokyo. But it's not about 2025 on this podcast. It's about the journey. Because Beard, who picked up the sport in high school, rose the ranks steadily through stints at Wagner College, Howard College, and then as a pro, has put himself through the ringer. Behind the recent success is an incredibly difficult schedule featuring time working up to 8 hours a day at the Walmart deli counter. On this podcast, he'll tell us the playbook. He'll tell us about the self-doubt, and he'll tell us the lessons that he learned and that you and I can learn from someone like him. I have a ton of respect for Dylan Beard. He's one of the best in the world at what he does, and his mindset is so unique and so fascinating. So Dylan Beard joins the Mental Game Podcast coming up in 3, 2, 1. Dylan, welcome in.
Thank you for having me.
Man, you look mellow. You look relaxed. You're in off-season mode. You're not running around the world, hurtling over everything in sight. Is that the case right now? Are you as relaxed as you look?
That is definitely the case. I'm relaxed. I have nothing to look forward to, nothing that's haunting me in my mind. I'm just simply mellow, enjoying the day as it comes to me.
How do you do with relaxation? And I ask this as someone who doesn't really do well when it's kind of off-season mode, mind starts to wander, get restless, and a lot of people are that way. I'm curious what kind of person you are.
I have kind of two sides of it. And the first one is like I don't usually relax. I'm like a shark in the water. I always kind of gotta keep moving. Relaxation is just like it just feels like I got a lot more to do. I need to do something. So relaxation in that aspect, it doesn't really come to me. But like when my body says we need to relax, we relax. So I don't try to relax, but sometimes your body tells you need to relax, chill out. And that's when I do like the best relaxation. Like no phone, no tea, like literally just sit in a quiet room and just relax.
So what does that look like? I mean, you say no phone, no TV. I think a lot of people, when they relax, they're like, all right, I'm turning on the TV. I'm going to sit on my phone all day. But those screens don't really allow you to relax, right?
Not at all. And I think, and that's part of what, the first part I was saying is just like always got to do something, even scrolling on the phone or like looking at a screen. Like my relaxation now, or not relaxation, but me doing something might be scrolling on my phone. Like I'm kind of at the point where I don't even really watch TV. So it really is just scrolling, but getting rid of the phones, screens, TV, I just truly like gives me a blank mind. Like nothing to expect, nothing to look forward to, nothing dinging or trying to get my attention. It's just me and whatever I can hear.
Okay, so that's you in kind of off-season mode. Really curious how you handle the phone. And I just want to focus on the phone. I'm holding mine up right now. Like we always have it within like 6 inches of our bodies, probably. And it's obviously an important way to connect with the world. You're telling me about that during a time of rest. You don't have a race later today. How is it when you're the opposite, when you're in Tokyo at the World Championships and you have the most important race of your life? What's the role of the phone in your routine?
Honestly, roll to the phone is just to play some music. Like it's rarely to connect with people.
It's an iPod,
Literally, it's
right?
an iPod, I mean, I might get a few texts here and there, but it's more so what time you practicing or what time you want to get lunch. It's nothing that can keep me engaged with the phone. But from time to time, you'll always see me with a pair of headphones, earbuds, just listen to music, because that's me on the go. If I can listen to the music and you know, just let me live through the music. It adds to that, that relaxation we're talking about, but it's also like it keeps me what is it? It just keeps me on the flow. Yeah. So I don't, the phone is really a distraction. Like I really try to stay away from it, but you really need it for business. Sometimes you need it when you need it. Oh, we're going to track. Oh, we're doing this. Oh, we're doing that. Especially in a foreign country.
We were just talking about Japan, right? You
Yeah,
were there for 2025 World Championships. I mean, you got to get around a city like Tokyo. You better have your phone on you.
exactly.
You're a music guy. What do you listen to?
All sorts of things. Definitely a hip hop R&B, definitely a rap music, trap music. Sometimes some acoustic music, some, slow hip hop and R&B. It depends. I might throw Taylor Swift in there, Beyonce in there, Lil Durk in
Ooh,
there.
Swifty?
Nah, not a Swiftie, but just a couple of the
Lowercase s Swifty, maybe.
yeah, exactly. Whatever sounds good, that's what I listen to. No specifics, but throw on shuffle, whatever comes on, hit a few skips and then keep listening what's going on.
Love it. Well, on the iPod music note, I'm going to hit rewind here and go back to the beginning of your athletic journey because I'm talking to you now as a grown man who's just competed at a world championships. But back to when you were a kid and you got your start as a hurdler. I'm always curious with hurdlers because you grow up watching Olympic track and field, and the biggest stars are the Carl Lewis's, the Usain Bolts that are just sprinting. They have the men's 100-meter dash is always that highlight event. I'm curious about hurdlers, and you are one of the best in the world right now. So, Dylan, how'd you get started in hurdling?
Hurdling. My approach to hurdling just came from, all right, let me get on the track team. I'm doing football and basketball. I wanted to get better on the football field, get faster, more athletic. I took the approach to track and field, joined the track and field team. First day, coach is like, "Hey, let's see who can go jump over the hurdles." I was one of the few to jump over, sky the hurdle. No technique, efficiency. It was just get over the hurdle as high as you can, and then like, all right, you'll be a hurdler. We'll clean everything up as long as you can get over the hurdle. That's the start. That's literally maybe day two tryouts. Get over the hurdle. Okay, cool. You're a hurdler. I'm not even really a sprinter. I'm like solely a hurdler.
How'd that feel early on to commit to just that one thing? I mean, you mentioned a few different sports growing up, but once you were able to lock in on that, to what degree could you really lock in on that?
I think it was pretty easy. I mean, with life, you get like a lot of decisions that can like make you think about this or that or something else. But when you're just told to do something, it's like, okay, like, I don't know much about the sport anyway, or at least at the time, didn't know much about the sport anyway. It's just like, okay, I hear what you're saying. I did the requirements you asked me to. That puts me into this field. I'm working with it. Wouldn't say I was locked in though, with the event and everything, but I was like, okay, I'll do this. Like, I hear what you're saying. I'll commit.
Tell me about, and listeners who don't know your story, a bit about your rise within the sport, because uh, as far as I'm, as far as I know, you really started this journey in high school and then just kind of slowly got better and better and better until it was your thing, and you were able to go compete at Howard, who you're representing right now, that sharp crew neck. So take me through that journey of development for you and how you dealt with it.
Yeah. So for me, it started my sophomore year of high school. Like I said, the journey of, just getting over the hurdles as high as you can. And, I'm an athletic guy, but it was nothing to brag about. I mean, my first 55 meters, not the 60 that we do now indoors, 55-meter hurdle race, I think I ran about 10.6. Like, someone doing an open 100 is flying by me and finishing before I'm finishing my race for 55 meters. So, not the best at all. I think I finished that opening season with like a 9 second, like low 9 seconds in the hurdle. So nothing to brag about. And then my junior years and senior years, I progressively got better. I think first time touching the track that junior year, I broke a school record and just kept breaking school record. But it still wasn't much to brag about. And then it got to my, senior year. I'm just like, okay, we're running 14 seconds consistently. 14 seconds, still nothing to brag about. And someone's like, hey, you can run in college if you keep performing like you're performing, run a little faster. And I was like, okay, like college is the goal now. So that senior year, I actually broke my tailbone. We've talked about this before. Broke my tailbone. Definitely slowed me down, and it was to the point where I wasn't running outdoors. People always care about the outdoor season, so I ended my high school career with a 14.6, and I got a Division 1 offer. I went to Wagner College and slowly started to build there. Did 2 years there, couple school records. Still hadn't broken the 14-second barrier. Now I transferred to Hampton University. I'm around a bunch of other great hurdlers, bottom of the depth chart, working my way up. 1.5 years of running there, indoor, outdoor, and indoor. And then COVID happened. So it's funny. Like for me, my goal was like, I'm not gonna finish running until I have a 13-second run over the 42-inch hurdles. That was literally like what I wanted. I had goals and aspirations to be a professional athlete as well, but it was really just reaching for that 13 seconds, in a race. And COVID happened. I sat out for 2 years, and then that's where I'm at. My second alma mater. I'm at Howard University, bottom of the depth chart again. I think everyone there, touched 13 sec. It doesn't matter, but I was bottom of the depth chart, 14 flat personal best, and I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna work. And that first season was rough. I still was seeing 14 seconds working under, David Oliver, Olympic bronze medalist. And I'm just like, man, program's good. The other guys are good. Maybe it really is just me. And funny enough, the day I ran 13 seconds for the first time at let me see, I always say NCAT, but A&T, North Carolina A&T, ran 13 seconds for the first time, 13.9. And I was like, okay, cool, cool. We got it. We can work from this. It's April, and I'm just like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready. I caught COVID the next day, or was diagnosed with COVID.
Just brutal timing.
Yeah, it's just nothing was working out. So,
Mhm.
I was 2 weeks out, not doing anything, sitting at home where I'm at now at home. And we actually, the next meet that I could go to was a whole meet in Baltimore at Morgan State. So I was like, okay, I'll just show up and run there. 13-second, 13.85 personal best first round. And then, they had a prelim final. Then I hit 13.55. I'm like, okay. In the span of 3 weeks, we ran 13 seconds for the first time and then took 2 weeks off, came out and ran 13.8, another personal best, and then we came back and ran 13.5, tying, the Olympic bronze medalist school record. It was, something like that just kind of popped out. In the span of 3 weeks, I had, done everything out at the time I wanted to do. And it got better from there. I didn't perform well at the regional meet that year, didn't make it to nationals. Then we're at my final, my super senior year, seventh year as a Division 1 athlete. It's going smooth. I eventually get my time down to run 13.2, and one of the fastest times as a collegiate that year. And things were going good, MEAC champ, but once again at the regional meet, just didn't get it done. Uh, Worst performance of the year, just terrible for me. And that was how I ended my college career. And then, decided to keep going, run at the professional level, run at the USA Championships. And then that's how last year started. I run a couple meets, run at the Millrose Games, and like now it's like, my name's out there as big as it possibly could be, all things because it's an Olympic year and everybody's watching. So blessing to that, and didn't make the Olympic team, didn't make the indoor team. It was just kind of a year of growing and understanding and knowing like what it is to actually be a professional athlete, a high caliber athlete at that in the sport. And then that's how we got to this year. I made my first world championship team, semifinalist at that, third at the USA Championship. So, hearing myself say that, it's kind of like a crazy, it's kind of crazy, like, what can happen when you stick with the sport, when you trust yourself a little more, give yourself one more chance.
I saw that look in your eyes when you mentioned your recent accomplishments. Like your eyes
Yeah.
brightened up, they widened. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. But you just alluded to maybe one of the biggest keys behind it, which is just trust yourself, just stick with it. Easy to say, especially now sitting in the chair with those accomplishments behind you, but how hard is it to actually do that when the going gets rough? Trust, stick with it.
Oh, it's probably the hardest thing. It's probably harder than doing something physical within the sport, just in everyday life. Just because like your body knows what it can do. Your body's the one pushing it, but the mental is like your mental controls what your physical does. And it's we're talking about for me, right? We're talking about 10, 11 years of work just to get to me talking to you here right now, right? We have seasons of training, physically, season after season, schedules, blocks, but it's nothing really to train you mentally. It's nothing that can like really push you mentally to withstand failure once again, and then until you see that big moment of like, okay, I see why I stuck it through, followed by more failure. So it is the hardest thing mentally. You can say it all you want and try to push all you want, but it is the hardest thing. Like literally, like even in the midst of things going great and going well, you still can find yourself, what they say, like imposter syndrome. Like you like, oh, you've done it plenty of times again, but it's just that one little bit of like doubt or question yourself. It's just like, wow. And that literally is the hardest thing. Getting through that, getting past that, or even recognizing you're going through it can be rough. You can just be in a foggy state and just not realize what's going on.
Imposter syndrome. That's something so many millions of people deal with. I deal with, right? It's the idea of you see your name or hear yourself discussed or feel yourself in a certain situation and you go, man, I don't belong in this. I know I've had it and I'm hearing that you've had it. So tell me about, let's say, the time in your life where you most felt that imposter syndrome just eating at you.
Um, the most. Let me see. Um, I mean, I don't know about the most. I know I definitely felt it this year, at the, what was it, at the USA Championships, and then again at Worlds. I actually felt it like, whoa, like I'm actually at the World Championships competing. I was just like, did I really like, I earned my way there. I did everything I needed to do, qualify and everything. But it was just like, oh, like I'm really about to compete. And it was very similar to USA Championships because I had already had such a great, let's say, progression towards the USA Championships. And it was just like, okay, like they always say, you got to run when it matters. Like, okay, this is time it matters. It's just like, why am I feeling different? Why am I acting like I haven't literally lined up with these guys two, three, four times already? And I cannot tell you what it was. Like just literally like it was just like blank. It's just like, oh, like I must have just been like cruising here or like just magically got here. I didn't really do it, put in the effort, but it was just like it just really feels like a blank. It's just like you've been playing a game, a simulation, you're just here. And that's like literally like what I was feeling. I was just like, talking to everybody saying, hey, oh, like, just socializing, just like well, why am I, surrounded by X amount of people or people that, have always had their name in the big lights? It's just like literally, whoa. I keep saying whoa, but it's just like it's time to get the job done. But it's just like it's like I've never done it before. That's what imposter syndrome feels like to me. It's just like it feels like at the moment I'm about to do it, I'm actually spectating someone else doing it.
Oh, interesting. So you feel like you're almost a third party. What is that like?
Like yeah, like essentially it's just like someone else is driving the wheel and just feels like I'm like looking at you at a screen like or like a video game. It's like I'm watching it being done, if that makes sense. Or that's what it feels like. I should say. It's just
That makes
like
sense to me.
yeah.
You grew up watching so many greats compete on your TV, on your phone, whatever it is, and suddenly it's you. If you don't feel like you belong, maybe you feel like you're watching yourself on a screen.
Exactly. Exactly. It's just like, and it kind of like works though, but because like when you are competing, it's kind of or when I'm competing and I know I'm like I'm good, I'm ready to go. It's almost like everything is done for me. Like, of course I'm, pushing out the blocks, going over hurdles, but it's like it's all a flow state. But with the imposter syndrome, it's just like it just genuinely feels like I'm not there at all. Versus like I'm there with just I have flow. Like I'm just in the zone versus like, okay, like I'm not actually there, I'm watching it just happen. If you can tell the difference of what I'm saying.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm curious about a moment. I'm going to backtrack a little bit to the beginning of your time at Howard,
Mm.
because when thinking about mindset and do I belong and am I going to deliver, I know all those questions were rattling around your mind when you suddenly were coached by a guy like David Oliver, who, for those of you listening who aren't track and field fans, I mean, David Oliver is one of the best hurdle specialists in modern U.S. history. Bronze medal at the Beijing Olympics in '08. He won the 2013 World Championships, and he coached you when you arrived at Howard. When we first talked, Dylan, you told me you didn't know who he was at first, but then when you learned who he was, you suddenly felt this stress, like this pressure to live up to the name David Oliver. How did that manifest when you first got to campus?
Um, how did it man? I mean, honestly, it was it definitely wasn't right away. Like even still on campus, just like at the end of the day, he's just coach. To me, at least, he just coach. So it wasn't really until we did the fall train and everything, we start hurdling. He's like, you got to do this, got to do that, got to do that. He's like really analyzed. He's like, and he's just like, you know what? Go watch me do it. He literally would send a link or go watch me on YouTube or something. I'm like, okay, and then I think it was just like, whoa, like literally like. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like me talking about the imposter syndrome. It's just like this guy just said, go watch him on YouTube. I'm watching on YouTube and he's doing his thing, killing it, doing everything. He's telling me slow it down and watch how you do it. And then he's just like also coaching me at the same time. He's coaching me and he's telling me to watch him so I can mimic him. And that's where that first connection, that how you said, how did it feel coming on campus? That was like the first click. It's just like, oh, this guy literally went to school here. This guy ran into me, got school records here, nationals, all that stuff. And then he went on to do it as a professional, do it at the world stage, get medals, and then like you said he's one of the best U.S. hurdlers, in what you say, modern era.
I'd say
Yeah,
'08.
yeah,
We're
oh
going
08.
back, what, 17 years?
Yeah, like
Modern ish?
it's just like you start putting that together. It's just like I need to listen to what this guy, he literally did it, lived it, and now he's telling people how to do it. There's no excuse not to get it done. And that was the mentality now. It was like, it's different. Someone else tells you to do it with different scenarios, different situations, but he lived it, he's doing it, and now he's giving back so others can do it. It's just like, let's lock in, let's do it. And, at the same time, let's put that stress on myself.
Put that stress on yourself. What does that look like?
I mean, it was like, he would just say, you gotta work more than on the track. So it was just like it wasn't bad stress. It was just like, okay, I want to be great. I want to do this. I want to do that. So I would take it upon myself to do the extra steps. Do this, do that, do these, just listen what he says. And then it was just like I was listening to everything he says, but I wasn't getting the result. So it's just like, what am I doing wrong? What do I need to look for? What needs to be established and, what needs to be connected? And that's where the stress builds when you're doing everything right on paper, but you're not getting the results on paper. So it's just like, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. I'm trying to be as great as this man, better than this man, but I'm not even anywhere near him on, running. So it's just like stress of trying to reach that level, while I have the time, while I'm here, while I'm able to do it, and just not getting it. And then when I do start to see the progress and like matching his level and everything, running time similar to his times while he was in school, you add another bit of stress. It's like oh, so I can do this. Let's try to be better. Just learning from him, trying to do everything right to get to that level. It's just like I said before, it's you're doing everything right on paper, but it's not giving you the results. And then, how I told you the story, within 3 weeks, I got that result. It was like, oh. at one point when you start getting that to like that, okay, these are the results I wanted. This is everything I worked towards, and it finally worked. For me, a little bit, it was like, okay, that imposter syndrome kind of came back when I couldn't always mimic it or always produce those numbers consistently or when I wanted to. So it's like, okay, did I just do that one time on accident or a couple times on accident, don't know how to, unlock that, that ability again? Or was it just like, something I'm not doing right that I was doing before, I let go or let it just slacked off on. So just a lot of thinking, right? You know, that's pretty much what it was. Just a lot of thinking. It's like you work so hard toward to get to one thing, and then you get it's just like, huh, did I actually do that? Did I actually work and do that? It's just a lot of questioning yourself when you know you've actually like strived to get to that goal, and then you get it. It feels to me it's kind of like not being satisfied when you get to the end result.
I know you've had a couple moments where you doubted yourself, right? At the end of your college career, you finished 37th at NCAA Outdoors. You've had moments in your professional career where you thought to yourself, God, should I keep doing this? Take me through, I'll let you pick, one of those moments and what was it? Who was it? What lesson was it that made you stick with this?
Man, I'll talk about placing 30. Thank you for telling me. I didn't even know it placed 37th at the NCAA regional
I
meet.
got receipts, man.
Man, let me tell you, I like that. I'm pretty sure at that time I was facing like a little bit of imposter syndrome. Like, you know, ran fast throughout the year. Now we're, like I said, another moment is just like this is where it matters. You got to run fast here. And it was just like it was no flow. It felt like when I did, I hit hurdle 3 or 4. I was just like, whoa. It just felt like I wasn't even in control. Like I wasn't even doing it. I was like, man, I, the imposter syndrome won. It was just like boom. So after that, it was just like, well, that sucks. And the crazy part about it was I couldn't even like just get away from the sport. I had another relay race, 2 days later. So it was like, all right, I gotta, get back on the track, even though I would just rather just run off and not do anything. And, didn't qualify in the relay either. So I was like, whoa, this is how it ends. And I was like, cool. And funny enough, the reason why I pretty much stuck with it, I'm talking to Coach Oliver. He's like, let's have a meeting and X, Y, and Z. He's like, all right, man, it's been a rough week. Everything's going on. He's like, definitely not the results either of us wanted this week, or, results I wanted, but, results he was expecting from me. And he's like, as you can see by I'm gonna say leaderboard. He's like, as you can see by the results, he said, based on the leaderboard, who was coming in and who left to go to the national meet. He's like, a lot of people in your situation, top ranked, but not going to nationals. It's just one of those track meets. He was like, it happens in the sport all the time. Crazy stuff happens. It is what it is. And then he's like, okay, so he's like, so what do you want to do? And what I had said before, I was saying, I think had anybody else had asked me that question besides him, I would say I'm done. But coming from him kind of presenting like, there's still more that can happen and we can work with that can, change your life per se, or not change your life, or just more you can get out of the sport before just giving up. He was like, what do you want to do? You want to keep going or you want to just end it here? I said, no, let's keep going. I didn't know there was more to keep going at that point. But he's like, yeah, let's keep going. We'll figure everything out. Go home. We'll practice on Monday. And I was like, okay, we'll practice on Monday. Didn't let the past situation or past circumstances of the past week affect what could have been my future. But it definitely mattered who said it. Because everybody else, I was saying I'm done. I literally said I was done to anybody who asked me or anybody who said like, "How are you feeling?" I'm just like, I'm done. There's no, you know, we got somewhere based. We did better than came to Howard. We left better than we came in, but it was just like, I'm done. And then coming from somebody who got me there, it's just like, the choice is yours, but you can keep going. So I decided to keep going. Once again, that's how we talking now.
That's why we're talking now, because if you were done, odds are I wouldn't be reaching out to you to come on the podcast.
Yep, I'd be using that resume, and who knows where I would be.
Here's the thing, though, it's always easier to be done,
Oh, for sure.
especially after a disappointing result, especially when the thing you're doing requires you to show up early in the morning the next day and work your ass off and stay locked in. So it would have been so easy for Dylan to just say, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm going to just like go do my thing, be a dude. But you stuck with it. What was the feeling within you or the emotion within you when you actually made that decision?
Really, it was just like, what left do we have to lose? You know, there's no pride, there's no like there was no emotions. It was just like, you know, there's always one more. Then, later on, I was just like, you know what, we could always end on a better note somewhere else. And then that was kind of the mindset, just like if you're gonna leave, leave on your own terms, leave satisfied, leave to where it's just like what you say, I put it away, I put it away at good peace. And even, as time we went to practice and everything, I still was like, I'm kind of done. Like I was applying to jobs, I was supposed to do fly for interviews and
What kind of
everything.
jobs?
Definitely not something using my degree at the time. It was I think it was a job at Oracle, or I was applying, Oracle.
Hmm.
I think, is it cloud, kind of cloud, or NetSuite or something. I had done two interviews already, and then the third one actually was it was to go to like Austin, Texas, and fly and do an interview there or something. And I was like, cool, this is perfect. I can do that. Ironically enough, because the girls team, they were going to nationals, and that year I believe it was in Texas. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. They'll go, nationals, everything, and then I'll go separately and apply for this job. And once again, I'm talking to Coach Oliver. I'm like, the way he's talking is he sounds like I'm coming with them. And I asked him, I'm like, what do you have me doing while you guys gone? I'm like, he's like, no, you're coming too. I'm like, oh, can't go to my interview now. We got practice at whatever, whatever, whatever. So I was like, okay, I'm actually choosing track and field now, choosing to be back in the track and field. And that's kind of what shaped my mentality back into it. And then obviously at some point later on, decided to compete. And actually, I competed at some American Track League meet at Atlanta, Georgia, Georgia Tech, and I won there. I was like, okay, like I kind of got the spark back. I was ready to, all it did was take one more race to get back going. I wanted this, wanted to keep going, and it just felt good.
Results versus process, right? There is the way you finish a race and the actual, okay, I'm at the top of that leaderboard, or okay, I got that medal. And then there's just that process, the waking up at the crack of dawn, the endless work, the staying locked in mentally. For you, and everyone's different, where are you on the spectrum of what you're motivated by in terms of process versus results?
Definitely motivated. Motivated by the process while seeking the result. But definitely, I used to be results based, but I'm definitely process based. If I magically one day ran the world record or something, I'd probably be like, I'm done. Like I wouldn't, I'd be like, it's fun working, it's fun going to practice and discovering what you can do to get there. But actually going to do it is just kind of like, I've got to find another hobby, or find another, or find another event. Like not like that's not satisfying with me for the results. I'm definitely process, or progress process. I think you said process, but I'm definitely process motivated, process oriented.
The process isn't easy though,
Oh, it's not.
right? This thing's a grind.
It takes a lot, and I think that's why I like it. It takes a lot out of you. It takes more to be there. It's technically a part of your life. You do the process so many times, or continue to process, and then it's just like, okay, you've become the process, and then you go out to go get the result. The result is just like a essentially. The result is literally a snap in time versus the process. You can track it. Obviously, you can track the result, but it's one fixed point in time or many different fixed points in time. But the process, you feel it, you remember it. When you go back, when you have reached the result or past the result, and you look back, you'll think more about the process. You'll think about oh man, I can't believe I used to, or we used to, or versus, oh yeah, I did that one day. I ran 12:78 one day, that was a good day. But going back and looking back, man, we used to do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, and look what it turned out to be. I'm all process.
The Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, Thursday, all those days, all those hours. But at the end of the day, you might care most about the process. You're judged on the results. And that is, for a lot of people, sometimes the painful thing. The
Mhm.
12.7 seconds, like you think about how small of a sliver that is in the grand scheme of your life, right? There's, 360 days 365 days in a year, multiply that by how many years you've been on Earth, and then you take 12-second sliver out of it. That's nothing. But it's what you're judged by sometimes. How do you reconcile that?
Me personally, I don't know. I kind of don't even get into that. I just
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
let people, people gonna judge you how they're gonna judge you. They're gonna judge your results on a whole sliver of things, even though your results it's a lot of factors that even go to results. You'll look at the results. For you, you'll see 37th at the regional meet. I'll see, oh man, I was going through hell and back in that moment. Working up to get to that moment. I could tell a whole story off of it. You could tell, oh, he just didn't do good. And that's just kind of process. There's always more to the story, and that's process versus result. But being judged on the result is just kind of, I feel like that's it's gonna be people outside of what you do. You won't necessarily be judged by the people who do it with you. Always the people looking from outside in or spectating. Those are the ones who kind of judge the hardest or are the ones judging.
And you really got your first taste of a lot of outside attention last year, February. It was Super Bowl Sunday at the Millrose Games when
Sunday.
you had, correct me if you think I'm wrong, what I would call your breakthrough moment, right?
Oh,
That's
for sure.
when you became, at least within the track and field community, a household name. Like, whoa, Dylan Beard, he just won that, the Millrose Games, this historic event. That was you getting noticed. What did that feel like? Because suddenly a result went totally your way on the highest level yet.
Oh man, let me tell you. For me, in the moment, it's just like, okay, gotta win. But everything that came after, I was just like, oh my goodness. Not in a sense of like, negative or positive, but it's just like, oh my goodness, like just my phone alone, it could have exploded with how much was going on. Like one tag or one, everything had a bunch of followers coming in, a bunch of people text me. I'm just like, whoa, like this is a lot. And then, it progressed throughout the year. Like I said, I always say it, thank goodness it was an Olympic year because I feel like that was like the perfect, breakthrough moment, trajectory to, oh, will I make the Olympic team? Will I not make the Olympic team? I mean, I couldn't have done it better myself, but that attention, I couldn't handle it at first. Like it was like I literally was running track and field as my passion to do it professionally, literally working on the side to fund this, fund everything. And it's just like I'm at home doing my job and people are coming in like, hey, good job on your run. Da, da, da. I'm like, I don't know. I before that didn't like the attention, didn't need the attention. I was always keep my head down, keep it pushing, you know, you do what you want to do in this life. Now it's kind of like, okay, doing what I want to do, but it's like gotta be cautious of what I do, how I do stuff, when I do stuff. Gotta think twice about doing a lot of different things. Just because image is everything. And oof, I'm doing a lot better with it now. Like I kind of embrace it. I like just talking to people, saying hey, or having someone congratulate me. It's just nice to hear, or people saying you ran horrible. It's like, okay, yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you for, I guess, recognizing me outside of the sport, if that makes sense. Definitely used to it now, or like starting to get used to it. But before, it's just like, this is too much. I would never actually want this. I just want to run. Like, and that actually played a big factor into how the year progressed because it's like okay like I said I could go to a track meet run however I want my coaches tell me how I do maybe the other competitors might we talk about how we all did call it a day and now suddenly it was just like people would track what I do or watch me here or tell me oh I watched you or congratulations it's like I'm not used to this I don't really need this I don't really want this I literally just want to run go about my day try to get better.
What changed and why? Because I'm hearing a Dylan who didn't want the attention, but now a Dylan who's comfortable with the attention.
Yeah, and I love how you say comfortable because I still don't necessarily want it, but it's kind of one of those things you gotta just steer into it a little bit. Like for me, I mean, that attention, you know, maybe maybe something I didn't want, but attention is what led me or was leading me to being able to run at more races, being able to meet, be able to do more things, meet a lot more people, connect, network, just do things that I didn't know was actually a part of the sport that I could actually get into. So it's just like it's just kind of like you take the quote unquote good with the bad, even though there's not say per se any bad, but it's just like it just comes with the territory. And it's just like you wanted to run at the highest stage, but you don't want anybody to know who you are at the highest stage. It doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense. If I explain it any other way, it just doesn't make sense. So it's just like I can still do the same thing. I still go out there, run, talk to coach, talk to whoever, call it a day, go home and go about my business. But just I think just took time. All in all, just took time understanding like this is essentially what I signed up for and what I got.
And it's your success that bought you this. And you mentioned people coming up to you at work and saying, like, hey, nice run. And you're probably like, well, how do you even know about my run? Right? Like, are you stalking me? But no, dude, you're on NBC, right? And that was a reality you had to get comfortable with. Now, something I want to make sure our listeners understand, and I understand this because you and I have talked plenty and done media things together, but the grind and the schedule you were working at the time when you won the Millrose Games was something that most of your competitors weren't doing, right? At the time, you were living in North Carolina and you were working daily at the deli in Walmart. And that aspect of your life got a lot of attention because I feel like the average American didn't understand that these stars you see on your TV, like they're not all millionaire billionaire types. They're not all inking these huge sponsorship deals. And you were working to put yourself through track. So what was that schedule and that grind like at the time of that breakthrough?
I still think about this, man. So schedule was actually pretty hectic. So it was Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean Monday, Wednesday, Fridays lift. So lift, practice, and then work. So Mondays lift, then go practice, then come work 6:45 to 11, and then wake up and then just practice early in the morning, come back, work. And then Wednesdays and Thursdays I'd have off from work, but still have to practice, lift, and then go practice again on a Thursday and then followed by Friday, we're lifting, practicing, and working again just to have a full 8 hour shift Saturday and Sunday and then repeat. So doing that schedule itself was just realizing like I literally have no days off. Like if they say the grind is no days off, literally no days off. Like my days off was me traveling to a track meet or traveling the day before a track meet just to like not do anything. And then you still got to pre-meet, you still got to shake the body out and everything just to compete for the next day. So it was literally I had no days off. Uh like I said already, but literally the grind. So that week of the Millrose, I believe Millrose was on a Sunday, like Super Bowl Sunday. So um if I'm not mistaken, I didn't get the call until like Wednesday, like, oh, you can go to New York and race. And I was like, okay, like I'll think about it. I'm working, trying to, I forget what I was trying to do, but I was like, I actually just had the day off. So it was a Wednesday or Thursday. I just had the day off. They're like, "Oh, well, we can get you the flight and you can just run there." And I'm like, "Okay, I don't. That's cool." But I was just like, "Man, I'm already tired. I'm literally exhausted from like the schedule I just told you." And I was like, "Okay, we'll just go ahead and do it." So I was like, "Okay." This is the first time I would go to a meet early enough to where I would actually have a day off, not do anything, and then pre-meet the next day and then compete the next day. So I was like, we actually got a day off, some per diem to eat. Man, I thought I was living, no, I was living large.
At per diem in New York, woo!
Man, we per diem in New York, I don't even think I ate anything fancy, just anything regular, did anything regular, but it was I mean, that was just the build up to it. Just a couple of days off from work, travel to New York, get a day off there, pre-meet, and then it was time to go. And the crazy part about that, because it was a Sunday, I flew back to North Carolina and did, I think, everything again. Lift, practice, and then work. I was so exhausted. I was so exhausted. And, just excitement from running, doing well, all the attention. Couldn't sleep either. So, I'm pretty sure my no, I know for a fact my next race was horrible. I'm working maybe Monday and Tuesday, go to the USA Indoor Champs, just ran horrible. And I was just like, man, had I had that time to just get my body together, time to relax, not have to work, I could have ran better there. But that was just my mindset. It was just like it never stops. I would always think to myself, man, I'm at the craziest disadvantage compared to my competitors. They get paid to just practice, chill out, and then go fly and compete. And I'm like, all right, I'm practicing and then I'm working and then I'm trying to get, make sure my finances are in order so I can travel. It was like always in the back of my mind, like if I didn't have to stay in 5 to 8 hours a day, oh, I'd be better than you guys. Or if I didn't have to, take time away and worry about my finances, I know I'd be better than you guys. And I I was able to kind of show that a little bit this year. I was used. I mean, there was a difference from last year and this year. I was, I took a lot more time off from working, but best believe I did what I could do. I flew everywhere. I showed people what I could do if I just had some time to just be myself, no, not working hard. If I get invited to the meets, literally, I there should be a study on that. But any, but
Oh, yeah. And it's pretty simple, right? You get the time and you get the money and the flexibility to train and do your thing. And bam, you reach your full potential.
like I said, I always think, hey, if I didn't have to work, didn't have to worry about finances, da 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 da. I showed you what I could do without having to work all the time. I showed you what I could do if you let me travel all the time or go to the meets all the time. I made my first world championship team, placed in the semifinals, and I have a lot more stuff that happened within the process too that worked out for my benefit to get that result of just being at the world championships. And to me, it just shows me a lot better things can happen.
How do you deal with that mental strain, though? Because it sounds to an outsider incredibly frustrating to look to your left and look to your right and say, well, you're getting paid, you're a millionaire, you have a lot of time to train, so do you, and I'm working my ass off standing 8 hours a day, worrying about my finances, doing this all myself. I can be better than you, but maybe I'm not right now, and it's
Mhm.
not all in my control. That feels so frustrating. How did you deal with it?
I will say whenever stepping on the track like race day, none of that stuff matters because my perspective in it or my I guess perspective or thought process in it is just like we have all been through different things in life, whether I am standing next to the millionaire or somebody's getting paid or whatever. I think at the end of the day I'm just like, huh. We've got probably two totally different lives, but we're literally, I would say we're literally at the table together. We're eating together. We're literally on the line together. I'm like, best believe if I can, I will. That's just mentality. Of course, outside, just like, dang, had but when it's time to go, nothing. It's no excuses. It's I'm there, you're there, we're both there. we're running in the same conditions. There's no excuse.
Feet on the ground, present moment. This is what's ahead of me.
Literally.
This year, you had a track ahead of you that was grander and more important with more eyeballs on it than you had ever had in your life, right? It was Tokyo at the National Olympic Stadium at the 2025 World Championships. And you were running in it and you ran very well on that track. But I want to go back to before you ran. You step out there for the first time and you look around and you see all those people and those cameras and those lights. Just given everything that you've been through, the doubt, what was that moment like?
I remember that moment pretty well, but I only remember the physical. I remember I'm drenched out here, sweating everything off. I forgot a bottle of water because I forgot a bottle of water. Throat is just I'm trying to fix my throat. I'm just like, oh no, it's not clearing up. It's so dry and humid out here. But all in all, I looked around, literally looked maybe left and right. I was like, literally, I ran there earlier in the year. So I was like, I've literally ran here before. Like, maybe not as packed, definitely not as packed, but I literally ran here before. I've probably didn't run against everybody in the field in that first heat, but I was just like, I've ran with everybody in the world this year. Like, this is literally no different. I literally was just like, it's just 10 hurdles. It's 10 hurdles. We've gone over I want to say hundreds of hurdles this year. Yeah, we've gone over hundreds of hurdles in competition before. All I'm literally waiting for is just the runners take your mark. I'm nervous, happy, excited, ready to get it over with, ready to soak in the moment. But the only thing I really saw was like the whole field of hurdles. That's all that was in my mind. That's all I was worried about. Like I said all the physical stuff that was going on, but mentally that was just like we've gone over this hurdle so many times this year. So many times this year. So many times this year. All you gotta do is run.
All you got to do is run, right? Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if zero people are watching or a million. You
Mhm.
just do your thing.
Literally. And like I said before, we're all at the line. It's fair game. That's why I love the straightaway races. It's literally fair game. We all touch the same line, start, go over hurdle, and we all finish at the same line. It's why we're here.
It's a beautiful thing. Now, Dylan, I want to zoom out and just for a second take away the actual physical competition. Because before I let you go, I want you to leave me and all of the listeners who are hearing you right now with a piece of advice. And I'm gearing it towards off the track, towards life, because as we covered, that's 99.999% of your process. That's the grind you've gone through. What is a piece of advice that you would give?
Um, so me, I'm Christian religious. I always tie it back into God and didn't bring God much in this at all, but a lot of it was just, God brought me here for a reason. God wouldn't let me get literally in the stories I told you about, talking coach, God wouldn't bring me this far just to bring me this far. There's more to elevate. So in the midst of everything that I've gone through this year, last year, the year before that, all the way to when I was starting as a hurdler and before that as well. Really for me, it just start with God and stay with God. And I have a part two to that. I always say, have good community. And, this is kind of to the people who don't necessarily, you know, have their own religious views, don't see God in it. I would say start with God and stay with God, and then also have good community. Because good community, God is still a part of my community. So but if you're not, you don't believe in God or anything, have good community that can bring you up. And you know what I mean? Like I literally had anyone else talk to me about continuing running, I'd be like, nah, I'm good. But Coach Oliver, literally being good community to me, not even knowing it probably in that scenario, is the process I went through. Process I went through. So I always say have good community, have people around you, have like-minded individuals that can make up for you when you're not able to make up for yourself.
It's about the people.
It's always about the people. It's definitely about the people.
Tell us where you'll be next, when we can watch you next, just what is next, for Dylan Beard?
What's next? Not 1000% sure, but I'm sure you can catch me next year in 2026, probably sometime in January, hopefully February as well in the indoor circuit. Hopefully I'll be at the I think New Balance Grand Prix and then the Millrose Games again. Hopefully, probably. And then we'll just continue there. I'll probably have more updates for you definitely by then, but I'm sure or hoping to be in at least those two meets for the indoor season.
Love it. And we'll certainly have plenty of updates on Dylan. And Dylan, I hope that, one day we can have you back here on the podcast for a part two, because we've only covered, we've had a long conversation, but we've only covered a tiny sliver of you and your mindset and your story is still being written. So I look forward to having you back for part two and maybe even more. And I will always be in your corner rooting you on. So thank you, Dylan.
Thank you so much, Sam. It was a pleasure to be on.
Hey, back here in the studio, huge thanks to Dylan for hopping on the podcast, and thank you to you for listening to this one. I think you probably want to thank Dylan too, because if you listened to that entire conversation, I'm sure you took dozens of lessons. The idea of paying his way through training, of working 8 hours per day, handling deli meat on his feet at Walmart, and looking around at his competitors and thinking, I can be better than you. I just have all these constraints. It's an incredibly strong mindset, and I credit Dylan so much for sticking with the journey, and now he's finally getting some of the fruits of his labor. So that was Dylan Beard, part of a loaded fall here on the Mental Game Podcast. If you want more, make sure you hit the subscribe button, share it with friends. However you can help get the word out, I always appreciate it. So I've been Sam Brief. Thank you for joining the Mental Game today. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I'll talk to you next time.